Hey guys, welcome to another Teamfight Tactics build guide video. We're going to be looking at a very prominent high tier composition on the current update, 10.8. And it's colloquially known as Egirls, but it really should be called Star Guardian Sorcerer. I think that's the more politically correct way of calling this composition. So I will probably call it Star Guardian Sorcerers for the majority of the video. If I call it Egirls, please feel free to flame me in the comments. But yeah, let me know what you think of this video. I'd love you to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content and you want to see more of it. I really appreciate all of the subs that I've been getting from TFT recently. It means a lot to me, and I think you guys are amazing, and I really appreciate all of the support. So please continue to do so if you do enjoy the videos. So let's talk about the early game. So it's a pretty simple early game when you're playing Star Guardian Sorcerers. You just go for 3 Star Guardians, and the 3 Star Guardians that are easiest to get in the early game is Zoe, Ahri, and Poppy. You put your Poppy up front, your Ahri somewhere in the middle, and your Zoe somewhere in the corner, and you can usually do pretty well in the early game with this. As soon as you find a Syndra, throw her in, and start giving her your tier items. In terms of level 7, let's talk about the 3 stars. The only 3 stars that in my eyes really matter in this composition are Neeko and Syndra, and I would recommend prioritizing Neeko if possible. Neeko 3-star makes the world of difference to this composition, because if a 3-star Syndra dies, it's just as good as a 2-star Syndra dying. Whereas if you can keep your Neeko at 3-star, she's very tanky with the right items. She provides a lot of distraction and a lot of lockdown to protect your Syndra, whether she's 2-star or 3-star. So I always try and go for a 3-star Neeko, but obviously I'm buying both Syndras and Neekos whenever I see them in the shop. The rest of the composition is Soraka, Ahri, Zoe, Poppy. That gives you your full stick 6-star Guardians, and then you're looking for Lux preferably. Mainly because Lux's individual ability is much better than a lot of the other sorcerers, and she provides some good lockdown versus infiltrators, for instance. So I really like Lux as the final sorcerer to give you 6-star Guardians for sorcerers. In terms of itemization outside of the carries, Ahri is pretty good with Thief's Gloves, so if you end up with Thief's Gloves for Ahri, that's a good little item to throw on her, especially if you can 3-star her. At level 9, you have 2 options. You can add 2 more Sorcerers, which could be Vel'Koz and Xerath, for 6-star Guardians, 6 Sorcerers. Or, my preferred way is adding in a Rakan and a Lulu. Not only does this give you Mystic, but it also gives you 2 Protector and 2 Celestial. So you're going to get Lifesteal, you're going to have Protector bonus for your Neeko, and you're going to have the Mystic bonus to prevent some magic damage across the composition. So I think that's usually, in my eyes, the better way to play Star Guardian Sorcerer if you go to level 9. But you want to be rolling at level 7. That's why I've put level 7 in the graphic. At level 7, you have the highest chance of finding your 3 costs, so you want to be rolling really around level 7. It also gives you a higher chance to find Soraka. In terms of carry items, you have 2 main carries, Neeko and Syndra. Right now, because of the tier nerf, really you need more than just Seraphs on Syndra. You need 3 tier items, so if you get 3 tiers, you're in a good spot. And you need to have Seraphs as one of them, preferably Chalice as the other, because Chalice now gives mana back to the user that cast the ability. Or you want to have any other tier item. I think Ludens is okay, for instance. But you just want to have as many tier items on Syndra as possible. And if you have this combo, Seraphs and Chalice, you are almost guaranteed to do well in the game. The third item can be whatever you want. Rabadons I like GA if you're against lots of infiltrators. I like Jeweled Gauntlet as well. Generally though, I aim for Rabadons, Chalice and Seraphs. When it comes to Neeko, there's flexibility. I think GA is a must because just having her revive and provide 1 more ultimate is really strong. I like Quicksilver because it means she doesn't get interrupted casting her first ultimate. And I really like Morello's because it provides a lot of damage in an area. But you can also have Ionic Spark, Bramble Vest, and Dragon's Claw. You're basically looking for tanky items on Neeko. But GA, in my opinion, is an absolute must. So this is the composition breakdown. Let's talk a little bit about positioning. Okay guys, as usual, I want to do a quick positioning guide for this particular build, which is Star Guardian Sorcerers, also known as Egirls, although I would not recommend that you call it Egirls because it can probably be considered a little bit offensive. Let's talk about the positioning. So Neeko always goes at the front, and you want Neeko at 3-star if you can help it. Sometimes if there's another Star Guardian Sorcerer player in your lobby, or there is a Protector player in your lobby, you might find it difficult to get Neeko to 3-star. But if you can get her to 3-star, that is the ultimate goal. When it comes to Poppy, I usually either place her just behind Nico here, or I place her over to the side. The thing about Poppy is you kind of want her to cast her ability as much as physically possible, and she's got a fairly low amount of mana. So if you place her just behind Nico, she'll join the fight up here, and should get like 1 or 2 ults off, which will allow the rest of your team to get a lot of mana back. Okay, Ahri I place just in front, and obviously this is interchangeable between either side, but I like to place Ahri here because her orb range is actually pretty short, and you kind of want Ahri to hit as many people as physically possible, and I'm going to explain why I put her there in just a moment. In terms of Zoe, wherever Zoe is, she is here. I place her in one of the corners. I will show you where I also place her in just a moment. When it comes to Lux, I place her in the other corner. Then we have Syndra, who I place behind my Ahri, and then I sort of surround my Syndra with the Soraka. If you're going up against infiltrators and they're all placed on this side, you can move your Zoe and pack in your Syndra like this. This means there's only one space here that anyone can get to. You could also put your Zoe directly in front, which means it's harder to get to your Syndra. But this is another way of positioning. I also like to position like this as well. But generally, you want your Nico in front, somewhere usually in front of your Star Guardians like this. If you were going to level 9 and you want to include the other sorcerers, so let's say Vel'Koz and Xerath, I would just position them on the back line like this. You want Vel'Koz in the middle because he usually just gets a better spread of his ability. But again, you just want to surround the back line so that Syndra becomes less targetable by infiltrators. If you're going to play the Lulu version, so you're going to have Lulu. I like to put Lulu just in front, pack the Syndra in, and then you're going to play Rakan as well. Where's Rakan? The reason you play Rakan is he gives you both the Protector and the Celestial trait here, which is absolutely fantastic. So you place him just behind Nico so he jumps in. You could also put Lulu over here if you want her to cast her ult more quickly, or you can put her at the back with Zoe. It doesn't really matter. I actually love this version of Star Guardian Sorcerers because it A, gives you some sustain with Celestial, and it gives you the Mystic bonus to help you versus magic damage. So I actually quite like this version of the Star Guardian Sorcerer comp. So that's the way I would position. Right, let's go on to a game. Right, let's talk about this game right here. So I started off by getting the tier. Obviously, if you're aiming to play Star Guardian Sorcerers, you will want to play tier and try and get the tier from the first carousel because it just provides one of those 3 tiers that you so desperately need. Then when it comes to your next item, you are looking for tiers. So if you don't find, let's say by Krugs, you haven't found any more tiers, it's going to be fairly hard to play Star Guardian Sorcerer. And that's just because this is the one non-negotiable thing about this composition. You need tiers. Because if you don't get tiers, you can't play Syndra. That's basically it. You can't force Star Guardian Sorcerer with AP items. You need tiers. So I actually got a Syndra from the first round here, and then I actually found a Zoe as well. Now, I stick the tier on the Syndra right now, and then basically there are 2 options that I can play from this position. We can either int it, which basically means lose until the first carousel, where I'm more than likely guaranteed to get myself a tier, but I get a tier anyway. So essentially I am in like a super strong position. I've already found my Syndra. I've got an AP item. I've got 3 Star Guardians, and my Syndra's already got a Seraph. So in the early game, this is what we consider just absolutely insane. What you're noticing is I'm scouting the players. There is one other Star Guardian Sorcerer player. That guy I knew was thinking about Star Guardian Sorcerer because he also got a tier on the first carousel. So that's why I was kind of focusing on Star Guardian Sorcerer there. But yes, so we are in a strong position because we already have a Syndra and we already have a Seraphs on her. So we're just in a very, very good spot for this game right now. This is about as good of a direction for hard forcing a composition than you could hope for. This direction right here, I've got a Seraphs, I've got 3 Star Guardians, and I've already got a Syndra. This is basically, yeah, you should be going Star Guardians this game. If you need any more kind of indication that this is the build that you should be playing, you will not get much more of a clear sign than the one I've got in the start of this game right now. But if you don't have the tiers, or you can't get tiers on the first carousel, and you get to the Krugs and there are no tiers, you should be looking to pivot. That is in my honest opinion what you should be looking to do. So I'm at 2-3. I've made sure that I've got 10 gold at least. I think that's a little golden rule to live by. And I've actually got 2 Syndras on the field now. Why have I put 2 individual Syndras? Well, actually, when they create orbs, they use each other's orbs. So they just use any orbs on the field. So having 2 Syndras is actually quite strong because not only do they generate extra orbs, they use each other's orbs to burst people down. So it's actually quite a strong thing in the early game to have 2 individual Syndras, because it basically increases the damage output of your Syndras. So there is an extra tier here, but unfortunately the other guy, I think there were 2 people in this lobby that were trying to play Star Guardian Sorcerer. So the other guy with the Star Guardian comp decided to pick up the tier, so I could not get my 3rd tier in this composition, which definitely made it a little bit harder than I would have liked. I have a Twisted Fate. I basically think, well, I'm on a win streak here and I don't want to lose, so let's just play Twisted Fate like an Ari in front of my composition with a needlessly large rod. The reason I'm not combining to a Rabadon's is because there are other things that I might want to use that needlessly large rod for, so I essentially need to not commit to the Rabadons, because again, there are other items that I might want to put on my Syndra. I might want to make an Ionic Spark, but I do think Rabadons is a pretty solid choice. If I wanted to just go for a Rabadon straight up, you would not be amiss just going for a Rabadons. I actually rolled right there to try and find an Ari, or just find another Syndra. I thought, well, I have one roll to make. If I could find a 2-star Poppy or a 2-star Zoe, like, we've actually increased the power of our composition. And this is the other guy that was playing Sorcerers, by the way. So there are actually 3 people in this lobby playing Sorcerers. Now, when you're in this situation, when you see there are 3 people in this lobby playing Sorcerers, and you are in the commanding position, so I have a good economy, I have 100 HP, I'm on a win streak. When you're in that situation, I would thoroughly recommend that you stick to your guns, because I already have the Seraph, so I've got the better itemization. I already have 2 Syndras on the bench. I've got very good items overall. I want to force them to change their minds rather than have me change mine. So I am very happy to say, yo, I am just going to stick to my guns here and play Star Guardian Sorcerer. Now, the way, if you are facing other people going Star Guardian Sorcerer, the way that you deal with this is as follows. Your best level for Star Guardian Sorcerer is 7, because it gives you the highest chance of finding your Syndras and your Nikos, and they are the most important units that you can have in Star Guardian Sorcerer. So, when you're in this situation, the ultimate way that you play is forcing your way to 7 with your economy. If you can force your way to 7, then you can then essentially start to outroll your opponents who may be a little bit further behind you in economy. And I can keep checking up on them and seeing where they are in terms of their economy. You can see this guy's at 40 gold and this guy's at 50. But he is actually picking up some mechs, so he is thinking of transitioning, I think, into Sorcerer mech. So I think that's a pretty solid choice, by the way. If you're going up against loads of people going Star Guardians, the other option is you can just play Sorcerer mech. You don't actually need the 3-star Nico. You can focus on getting a really good mech and then just playing Syndra on the backline. You are a little bit weaker in my eyes to Infiltrators, though. So we're actually in like an insane spot now. We found a 2-star Syndra. We've got 2 Nikos on the bench, and again, we're just keeping our eyes on the other players that have got the Sorcerers to see how much they've picked up. For me, right now, my ultimate goal is to get to 7 and then start rolling like crazy at 7 to try and find the Nikos. I actually think when you're going up in a matchup versus another Star Guardian Sorcerer player, once you've got a 2-star Syndra, it doesn't really matter. Once you've got a 2-star Syndra, it doesn't really matter about getting the 3-star Syndra. I think the most important thing that you can look for is getting a Nico. So right now, I'm essentially looking for the Morellos. That's why I go for the Soraka. The Morellos is one of my preferred items on the Nikos. So I like to have Morellos on Nico. I think it's a very strong item in general. And that's why I've just combined it on a unit on the bench and then thrown the combined Morellos onto my Nico. I'm obviously also looking for a Chain Vest to go GA. And then I'm obviously just going to trying to look for another tier item. I think realistically, there are 2 tier items is optimal for Star Guardian Sorcerer, but if you can't find 2 tier items, a single Seraphs will do you. It just depends on what you get on the rest of your build. Like, for instance, in this particular case, I'm now level 7 by 3/6, and this is now a time for me to start rolling. I'm looking for, obviously, Soraka, and I'm obviously looking for Nico. If I don't get this guy's got 3 tiers on his Syndra already. If I don't get 2 tier items on my Syndra, I'm not going to be super upset, but what I am interested in getting is a 3-star Nico, because that'll just buy me time versus a lot of other compositions, and I think a 3-star Nico is much more important than a 3-star Syndra. I actually read this on a Challenger Star Guardian Sorcerer player guide, where he basically said, I actually think Nico is just significantly more important than I think Nico is significantly more important than Syndra. So I did pick up a Xerath there, but actually Xerath 1-star is pretty bad, and he doesn't really offer anything to my composition. So I decided to just say, you know what, that's fine. There was another little addition here that you may have noticed that I picked up. I found a Thief's Gloves for my Ahri. So my Ahri's now got a Thief's Gloves, which is actually pretty good. She will eventually take the place of the Twisted Fate in this composition. So Twisted Fate is still in my build, but he will eventually be culled in favor of a Soraka. So we're looking for a Soraka. And I take my first loss to the guy who has the 3 tiers on Syndra, which is perfectly okay. I win streaked for a very long time this game, all off the back of finding a Syndra in the very early game. We found a 2-star Ahri, which is nice, and we don't want to roll too much, but we do want to look for that. Soraka specifically, and we do find it, which is good. So we're looking to reposition now, and you can see I put my Ahri in front. Didn't quite get my Soraka in the right position, but this is essentially the cookie cutter positioning that you're going to be using for Star Guardian Sorcerer pretty much all the time. This cookie cutter position is essentially your way of playing the game. Right now, I'm rolling a bit more aggressively because I know that I'm competing for. I basically want to utilize my level 7 advantage as much as possible, which is why I've rolled all the way down, looking for Syndras and looking for Nikos. I don't mind that I've killed my economy to do this because I feel like I'm in a really strong spot. But I've also taken the Nikos away from the other Star Guardian Sorcerer player, which actually, in my opinion, is much more important than anything else. I'm nearly at a 3-star Nico, so I utilized my level 7 economy and rolled down knowing that I had a high chance of finding Nikos. And look at this, there is a Nico with a chain vest on this carousel. That gives me a 3-star Nico with a Guardian Angel, and I take it because this is just unbelievable. This gives me a GA Morello's Nico, and 3-star. So I no longer need to roll for anything. I even find a Nico, by the way, when I come back, which is also hilarious. Could have gone for another item if I really wanted to. I'm going to whack the Needs to Large Rod on the Syndra because there's a lot of things that I can combine with Needs to Large Rod to make Syndra okay, and I just think boosting the power of her damage. Like I will literally throw another tier on Syndra at this point and just say that's fine. I'm going to take the I'm just going to take the Ludens. Like it gives me a bit of extra mana at the start. It ramps up my damage. I'm okay with this because I've actually got a very strong Nico now. Like Nico being 3-star is the most important thing in this scenario. There is another thing that I'm doing right now that you may notice. I'm hoarding Syndras. So I've got 2 Syndras, or I've got another 2-star Syndra on my field. I believe, I'll have to double check, but I believe there are 16 3 costs in the pool in its entirety, which means there is only space for a person to get 1 3-star 3 cost. So if I've got 6 on my bench, the Mech Sorcerer player has got 3, and the other Star Guardian player has got 3. That means there are 12 Syndras out of the pool. And that means that it's impossible for any of us to get a 3-star Syndra. This basically makes it impossible. It is also impossible for the other Star Guardian Sorcerer player to get a 3-star Nico because I have a 3-star Nico, so now it is impossible for him to do so. So this is why I'm keeping those Syndras on my bench right now. I'm keeping those Syndras on my bench because it is very, very important that I stop anybody else getting a 3-star Syndra. So I know that I'm not going to get a 3-star Syndra myself. I'm doing this specifically to hoard Syndras and make sure that no one else can find the 3-star Syndra. But we are now basically final form. There is no other major 3-stars that I want, maybe apart from the Ahri, but I don't really need to roll for it. It's not that important. Actually, what I do from this situation is eco up and look to go to level 8 and eventually level 9. Because we can add in either 6 Sorcerer, which I think is a pretty good addition, especially with a 3-star Nico, or we can add that Lulu Rakan combo for the Protector for Nico, so she gets the ability to generate a shield every time she uses her ability, and then also the Celestial trait, which gives us some healing, alongside Soraka, making us very difficult to take down. But you can see that we're basically blasting through pretty much everybody now. We're in a very, very strong spot. So we're just going to take the Ahris where we can, and we're going to level up. This is basically our game plan now. You can see that I've got a rapid fire cannon on my bench. That I think is because obviously I'm not going to get any components anymore. Realistically, it's better to take tier 2 items, even if you get a 1 tier item on the carousel, unless you really need a specific tier 1 item. But it's better to get It's better to get tier 2 items on the carousel coming up and just throw them on whatever carry you can. So you can see here, I would love to have had that Seraphs. Like, if I got that Seraphs, that would have been absolutely broken, but it just gets taken away. So in this situation, Rabadons, Bramblevest are also very good. The Rabadons goes, I'm just going to take either the Warmogs or the Bramblevest, but I'm going to take the Bramblevest for my Nico. The reason being is it just helps my Nico survive versus things like Bang Bros, Protectors, Brawler Blasters. Just giving her that extra armor is really nice, and the fact that a lot of people are going to crowd round her, like a mech right at the front by herself. She's going to deal a lot of damage in an area, which is really nice as well. So just adding the Bramblevest over to Nico gives her a bit more defense, and you're going to see it here. She's going to deal a lot of damage in that front line. Like, Nico herself basically wiped out that front line, which allowed us to essentially win this. You can see Shaco, like, Darkstar is one of the hardest things to beat because it really depends on how quickly you kill the Shaco. But Nico being 3-star means that you're more likely to deal damage. One of the best ways, if you're playing Darkstar, to counter Star Guardian Sorcerer is actually to add Quicksilver to your Shaco, because he won't get locked down by the Nico, which is really nice. So I add the Zerath here, so essentially now we're looking to go to level 9, and then we're going to add a Vel'Koz, because that'll give us the 6 Sorcerer bonus, and that's going to increase the power of our Nico damage, but also going to overall increase the power of our Syndra too. We get a Jeweled Gauntlet here, which is just a really nice item for Syndra. Like, Jeweled Gauntlet along with Ludens gives her a huge amount of burst potential. Not that she needs any more burst potential, but, you know, I'm going to take a Jeweled Gauntlet. If I get a free Jeweled Gauntlet on Kayn, I'm taking that and I'm putting that on Syndra. Like, that's just a really nice item for Syndra. There's nothing else that you need to say about it. You just put it on your Syndra like that. And again, we are going to be leveling. I'm rolling a little bit here. I'm wondering what I'm rolling for. I'm guessing I'm rolling for Ahri's, because obviously my chance for Ahri goes down. Sometimes it's difficult for me to understand what I was doing after the game's over. When I go back and review the game, it's sometimes difficult for me to understand what I'm doing. But I think obviously your chance of finding legendaries at level 8 can be pretty low, so I think actually it's probably likely better for me to just go to level 9 here, because level 9 gives me a 2-star Zerath potential. It gives me the ability to add in the Vel'Koz as well, so that's probably the best way. Yeah, that's good boy, Excoundrel. You're doing the right thing. No, you're not. Now you're rolling. What are you rolling for? I'm guessing you're rolling for Ahri's, but you don't want to be rolling, mate. You want to be saving. I think I rolled down to 39. And then I'm just going to allow myself to eco up a little bit. Again, having a 3-star Ahri basically provides a bit more cannon fodder for your Syndra, which is always nice. This is versus a mech infiltrator player. I think we actually get away with it because we've got the Nico. Like, look, the Nico just did so much work in that particular engage right there. The Nico is actually super strong. And again, we're just kind of waiting around, looking to go to the next level. We're now in the top 4. There are 3 Sorcerer players in the top 4. There's the Mech Sorcerer player, the other Star Guardian Sorcerer player, and me. So this is my matchup versus the other Star Guardian Sorcerer player. He's actually gone to level 9 already, but hasn't really got an economy. Me having the 3-star Nico definitely helps here, but basically his Syndra kills my Syndra, which is just obviously going to mean I lose. If your Syndra dies, you obviously lose. That's the way that you've got to look, Star Guardian Sorcerers. If your Syndra dies, you just lose. There are a couple of good options here, but I actually think the best option is Static Shiv or Thief's Gloves. Static Shiv I could have put on Zerath. Thief's Gloves I can just put on anybody. I actually quite like putting Thief's Gloves on Soraka, because essentially it could either make her tankier, which allows her to cast her ultimate more, or it can just make her... No, what am I doing? Put the Vel'Koz. Thank you, Excoundrel, you idiot. It can either make her tankier, or it can make her cast her ability more quickly. Not that you're concerned about damage, but yeah, 6 Sorcerers is pretty strong. It increases the healing of Soraka as well, generally increases the damage of everybody. It's just super good, and we end up knocking out the other player. So now we're just looking for 2-star Squid, which I didn't pick up. Why am I not picking up the Squids? I'm not picking up the Squids, and I don't know why. It would be good to have a 2-star Squid. I actually positioned specifically for the other Star Guardian player, but I actually end up getting a really, really good hit with the Shroud of Stillness there. It hits the Kai'Sa, and it hits the mech, which pretty much allows me to win this without much issue. We knock him out. Not really sure why I didn't take the Vel'Koz's. Yeah, now I take the Vel'Koz. It's a little bit too late there. We get an Infinity Edge, which is a bit memes. Don't really know who I'd put that on. Infinity Edge isn't particularly a very good item, obviously, for this composition. I guess I throw it on the Xerath, just because he's already got the rapid fire cannon. So I guess I would throw the Infinity Edge on the Xerath, just because he's going to be attacking fairly quickly. So now I've got like an Infinity Edge carry Xerath, which is hilarious. And we're obviously just looking for 2-star Xerath and 2-star 2-star Xerath and 2-star Vel'Koz. We get the Vel'Koz here. We've given up on the 3-star Ahri because I just think it's very unlikely that it's going to happen. And we actually split our comp up because we're no longer going up against infiltrators. So we don't mind splitting up along the back line because there is actually no need for us to be too worried about the outcome here. Just because, again, we have... we're not going up against infiltrators, so there's no need to protect your Syndra as much. You can actually split up and try and reduce the amount of damage that you take from the other Star Guardians. Getting the 2-star Xerath is a big deal here. We're going to put him back into a protect mode over in the corner. We're going to backline everything, and we're again trying to position our Zephyr so that we get his Syndra. He obviously wasn't scouting, by the way, because he just lets his Syndra get Zephyred, which basically wins me the game, by the way. There's no way that he beats me when his Syndra's been Zephyred because he just doesn't have enough time to build up the orbs, and we win. There we go, Star Guardian Sorcerer. That was a good game.